Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we finally have the full set of Into the Inklands card pool reveal, and it's time for our top 10 list. The top 10 cards that I believe are going to have an impact on the metagame, get played in decks, and help shape the format, and just be overall pretty good cards. So let's get started. In the number 10 spot, we have And Then Along Came Zeus, a 4-ink non-inkable spell that deals 5 damage to a character or location, so some flexibility there, and it's a song, which means that you can play it for free as long as you have a singer 4 or higher, or a character that costs 4 or more, and which isn't too hard to get. It's easier to get that 3, but even just hard casting it for 4 is fine. I mean, this is kind of the next step to Smash, and Smash is highly versatile and playable, and you can even see it as an improvement over Dragonfire that used to be the single target removal spell by excellence for the first chapter. This costs 1 less, deals with a wide variety of threats, and has the magical song keyword. And we've seen just how powerful songs can be. Getting something for free, single target removal, without costing you a single point of ink, that's delicious candy, just an awesome card. Expect to see Zeus come along and ruin your game plan, or help your game plan depending on whether you're playing Steel or against Steel or both, in a game near you very soon. In the number 9 spot, we have Morph, everyone's favorite space goo, a 2-1 for 2 inkable. So some flexibility there, and it's very simple. You can use it as a shifting target for any character you want. Some of these characters that only have expensive shift targets, Morph. A character that you really want to play and really want to shift, well, now you have a duplicate target with Morph, with that 1-drop. Say that Stitch Rockstar no longer has to be that 6-drop, or you must have that 1-drop Stitch. No, you're Stitch or Morph. Stitch or Morph. Or actually, shift or morph. In either case, it's very versatile. It keeps your opponent guessing because it doesn't telegraph what's the card that you're going to morph into. So the opponent has to be prepared for whatever character you're going to transform morph into. And because the character can challenge or activate its ability on the same turn, or request on the same turn, being a shifting character, then their opponent kind of needs to prepare for everything. The one big downside to Morph are his stats, which, of course, 1 willpower for a 2-ink character is weak and a liability, but Morph more than compensates with his versatility, and he's just going to be a nice redundant shifting target in a lot of decks. Next on our Space Deck list of top 10 cards, we have number 8, Mr. Jim Hawkins, Space Traveler. A 4-4 for 5 that quests for 2 is a nice stat line to begin with. But the real power of Jim Hawkins comes from his first ability. Whenever you play it, you get to play a location that costs 4 or less for free. And free feels good. Free is powerful. You get a decently stats 5-drop and a 4-drop location, all for that price of one small payment of 5 ink. Which is pretty great. You also have the bonus that you can move Jim Hawkins to that location, which is a nice addition. But really, you can get huge tempo swings by activating that Jim Hawkins ability, and there are some very powerful locations in the set, as you will see a little later as we move up our tier list. At number 7 on our list, we have Kida, Protector of Atlantis, a 3-5 for 5 quest for 2. Fine stats line, shift 3, nice bonus. But what's the core of her ability? Whenever you play this character, all characters get -3 combat power until the start of your next turn. That's interesting. So what does that really do? Well, it means you do all your questing, you do all your combat, you play your Kida, and boom! It's time for peace. Anything that doesn't have Reckless that the opponent is playing is now nullified, mostly. I mean, there are some very high-powered characters, but in general, most characters are going to take a nap or go on their quest, because now's the time to quest. This is very good in aggressive decks that try to quest for a lot but get punished when the opponent tries to challenge them back. Kida just comes in and says, no, my characters are fine. Everything our opponent has on the board currently has no power. We'll have no power during their turn, and then we're going to get our next turn where we're going to have all our power back. Overall, I think it's a very strong ability. The main weakness to it is rush characters. So Madam Min Fox is still going to cause havoc in the face of Kida, which is why she's not higher on the list, really. Maui also gains a bit of power with all of the locations that can get pummeled by our 5-drop bully that's been there since the first chapter. So Madam Min and Maui kind of keep this card in check. But against decks that want to have a board that's oppressive, Kida just nullifies their board for one turn and just says it's a time of peace. And allows you to do whatever you want, activate your abilities, go to quest with characters that would get banished anyway, that would get banished otherwise. So overall, a nice enabler, a different type of ability, and I really like this card. Number 6 on my list is probably going to be a surprise for some of you folks, and feel free to disagree in the comments below and let me know what I actually should have put in 6th drop. But in my opinion, Ursula the Deceiver, the 2-costed inkable 1/3, that you'll never even miss it, is actually pretty strong. What's her ability? When you play the character, you look at your opponent's hand, you pick a song, and you discard it. And she's also one quester. Why do I like this card so much? Well, picking a card from the opponent's hand and discarding it is a powerful ability, and it comes with a body. So you don't even lose the tempo if you're playing against an aggressive deck. You can play Ursula Deceiver, and you have something to punish their Pinocchio or their Lilo, cheap Maleficent. It's a 1/3 that peeks at the opponent's hand, at the worst. At the best, well, what are good songs in the format? Well, have you heard about Be Prepared or Grab Your Sword? Actually, what other mass removal are in the format? Can't really think of any. There's a new King of Atlantis that bounces everything, but the mainstream, uncounterable I Destroy Everything are Grab Your Sword and Be Prepared, and they're both songs. And we were used to their cost. So when your opponent goes to turn 6 and passes the turn back and they're playing that Ruby Amethyst, and you have your wide board, Ursula the Deceiver, time to strip those Be Prepared, and suddenly the opponent's game plan goes to shreds because you've just removed their super powerful answer that they depend on. So having access to, at the perfect timing, to Ursula the Deceiver, to having access to some information about your opponent's hand, picking off one of these songs, these Let the Storm Rage On, that Steel has been playing. They're quite pesky and annoying. Songs are very powerful cards. You kind of get used in the metagame to which decks are playing them, and Ursula the Deceiver can really just destroy their game plan and just slow down the decks quite a lot, prevent board wipes, which allows you to play a lot more greedy, go wide strategies. And I think that's a very powerful effect, especially on the body of an inkable 2-drop. You don't want to use it, you ink it. And you ink her early on, no problem with that. Overall, really like this card. Let me know what you think in the comments. At number 5 on our list, we have our first location, the Queen's Castle Mirror Chamber, with very nice helper text. Those who visit the mirror can only choose their question, not the answer. Very wise words. So it's a 4-costed inkable location with 7 willpower that gets you 2 lore per turn. Just at face value, that's pretty good. I don't know very many threats that you can pay for and have 7 willpower that'll quest for 2 every turn. Now granted, it doesn't deal damage on the swingbacks and all of that, but let's take a look at the benefits. At the start of your turn, for each character you have in the Queen's Castle, you may draw an extra card. Card draw? So this card that has amazing stats gives you card draw? That's really, really, really good. And it only costs 1 to move your characters there. I mean, the opponent will have to challenge your queen's castle. Otherwise, you're just going to drown them in card advantage. It's a lot of card advantage on a card that applies pressure. So it does 2 things and does both things very well. And I mean, it's in the running for best location in the format. And it's an awesome card. It's going to be seeing a lot of play in everything Amethyst. Every greedy player who likes to draw cards, I mean, who doesn't like to draw cards, is going to be playing some amounts of Queen's Castle, at the very least as we try out the location, then as we realize that they're very good. So Queen's Castle is going to be a mainstay in the metagame in the foreseeable future, so better get used to having large amounts of cards in hand. At the number 4 spot, we have another location. Pride Lands, Pride Rock. It costs 2, it's not inkable, which is its main downside, has 7 willpower. Now imagine a 7 willpower 2-drop. You simply can't attack it. You can't challenge it down very easily. You need to wait until like that turn 5 Maui, and even then Maui is not enough to take it down. And there's 1 lore on the Pride Lands, which means that it keeps ticking up. If you forget about half of the card, so forget about the left side of the card and just think about it as a 2-costed 7 willpower that gains you 1 lore every turn. It's a decent card just for that, but it has the added abilities that characters there gain +2 willpower. Also, if you have a prince or a king there, you can pay 1 less to play other characters, so you can get a discount, you can get extra toughness, which is very good on a card that's already good on its own. Now the main downside is that you need to pay 2 to move your character to the Pride Lands, which is quite an expensive cost, so you're not going to be doing it that often, but it's a nice flexible ability. If you're about to lose a challenge and your stats don't match up, pay 2, move to the Pride Lands, challenge, and live. And keeping that character alive is worth a card. So you've paid 2 to save yourself a card, can be quite advantageous. So having that ability, that flexibility with the Pride Lands, while still having this very nice, efficient location, is very good. And if you can keep the discount rolling, well, it just keeps on getting better. I think this is the best location that we have right now, and it's definitely going to be making some decks and having an impact on the metagame. In the number 3 spot, we have Mama Odie, Mystical Maven. She's a 1/3 for 3 non-inkable, and this is going to be good, really it is. Whenever you play a song, you put the top card of your deck into the inkwell, face down and exerted. He's very similar to Mickey Mouse Detective, which I'm a big fan of, really. Except that Mickey Mouse Detective has the ability when he enters the battlefield, while Mama Odie requires you to play songs. But it's repeatable. And not only is it repeatable, but you can use the ability multiple times in a turn. So a lot of these pesky songs that you have that will draw cards and cycle themselves, and we have quite a few. Friends on the Other Side, Let the Storm Rage On. I think there's a new 1-drop song that essentially just draws a card, or 1 jump ahead suddenly becomes 2 jumps ahead. If you get to play a couple of songs in a row, Mama Odie can go really crazy and get you a bunch of ink for future turns. And as long as she sticks on the battlefield, you can keep on using her ability, stacks with more Mama Odies. Do have to be careful not to mill yourself out by inking your deck, but I mean, first world problems. When you have too many cards in your ink pool, you can play more cards and you'll eventually defeat your opponent. So it shouldn't be much of a problem. It should be mostly upsides, which is why I'm ranking this card at number 3 on my list. Number 2 on our list, we have Ursula, Deceiver of All. I'm not sure if you've noticed yet, but I really like that song's mechanic, and I think it's very strong, as we've seen with Grab Your Sword, Whole New World, Let the Storm Rage On, and all of these other good stuff. then Ursula Deceiver of all just sings music to my ears with her ability. 2/3 for 3, quest for 1, slightly subpar stats. But whenever she sings a song, you get to cast it again for free. Ooh, and man is that good. In particular, if you're using that with Friends on the Other Side, for example. Friends on the Other Side typically costs you a card and then gains you 2. So you have a net advantage of just 1 card. But if you're casting it twice, you've only used the card once, so you've gained 4 cards and it only costed you once, so you get +3. So instead of a +1, you're getting a +3. So it's not really just doubling because you're not having to pay the cost. I think this card is particularly strong with Let the Storm Rage On, which goes from deal 2 damage and cycles itself to its friends on the other side that deals 2 damage twice. So you get the double fire the cannons with that. Do you want a big drink? Large fry? Not necessary, just the double Let the Storm Rage On, and that's good enough. And I think Ursula Deceiver of all into Let the Storm Rage On might just end games on the spot, or at least give you a very big card advantage or advantage in the game that's going to be hard to recover from. So it's a combo that you have to watch out for, but again with Friends on the Other Side, and there's a plethora of strong actions that cost 3 or less, and doubling them up with the Deceiver of all is going to be a very threatening move. So expect to see Ursula singing in a deck nearby very soon. And finally, the number 1 card on my top 10 list, the strongest card that's going to dominate the metagame, is the Bare Necessities. Weren't expecting that one now, were you? So what does that do? Well, it's a 2-costed song, it's inkable. You choose an opponent, they reveal their hand, and you discard a non-character card. So remember how I was really into that Ursula that discarded songs earlier? Well, Bare Necessities is just a more flexible, more powerful song that does the same thing. So you can use that for free to pick off your opponent's Be Prepared, to pick off their Grab Their Sword, to pick off their songs, their draw engines, whatever you want. You can double cast that with the Ursula we just reviewed, pick off their Friends on the Other Side and another inkable card, and suddenly they're out of inkables just because you've picked off their non-character cards. Now, of course, this is a dead card against fully character decks, but then again, it's inkable, so it's never really dead. As you can see, just Baloo dancing around saying, Bare Necessities is the only thing that you're going to have left in your hand, because I'll be taking out all of the nice fancy toys, nice removal, and I will have the way paved and clear for my characters to do their bidding and win the game. I've seen just how powerful Thoughtseize is in Magic, or this would be similar to Duress. Just being able to disrupt your opponent's hand is a very powerful effect. If you're putting it on a song and you can cast it for free, it's extremely powerful, especially when we have effects like Ursula that give you bonuses when you're casting that type of card. And in this case, if you know it's bad in the matchup, you can just ink it. And it's going to be good in a lot of the matchups. And very important at defining the metagame. It's going to prevent the opponent from going too high on control decks, because playing Ursula with the Bare Necessities, both Ursulas really, will just decimate your hand that's full of control cards. And it's nice to see that kind of counterplay see shape. And it's going to be interesting to know, when do you ink your Bare Necessities and when do you play it? In which matchups, in which situations? Do you wait until that turn 6 to prevent that Be Prepared being cast? Or do you cast it early to get more information about your opponent's hand, which again provides a lot of value? So Bare Necessities is my pick for the best card of Into the Inklands. I hope that you've enjoyed this video featuring my top 10 list of the cards from Into the Inklands. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the list, where you agree, where you disagree, where you really, really disagree, and have some fun doing it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.